I have a special treat for you. One of our gentlemen here is going to come up and say a few words. 8-year infantryman, father of four, Rich Dudek.
Is anyone here for Ron Paul? Yeah! It truly is one of the greatest honors of my life to be here before you guys today. I'm very humbled to be able to share a few thoughts and a few words about my sincere support for Ron Paul. I'm very proud of my service. I served the infantry for 8 years. I spent for 2 years overseas in Panama, 2 years with the 101st Airborne Division in Kentucky. And I came back home to Michigan, spent some time in the National Guard. I learned a lot while I was in the service, and I've learned a lot since then. When I got out of the service, I began to raise my family. I started to struggle through some of the things we all do, and I began to seek information from people that had the results that I wanted in life. This led me to learning and reading for myself, something that I'm certainly going to encourage my children to do. I started to learn some shocking things about the Federal Reserve System. I've seen some signs out there today.
And the Fed!
As I began to learn about that, that led me, of course, to the biggest proponent or the biggest enemy of the Fed, and that's Ron Paul.
Yeah!
After leaving service, I want to take just one more second and honor the men and women who have supported their oaths, honored their oath to support and defend the Constitution. I found this poem a while back, and it's entitled A Visitor from the Past by Phelan Pollock. It's encouraged me to take very seriously my roles and responsibilities as a citizen to this great country. I had a dream the other night that I didn't understand. A figure walked in through the mist with a flintlock in his hand. His clothes were torn and dirty as he stood there by my bed. He took off his three-cornered hat, and speaking low to me, he said, "We fought a revolution to secure our liberty. We wrote the Constitution as a shield from tyranny. To future generations this legacy we gave, in this the land of the free and home of the brave. The freedoms we secured for you we'd hoped you'd always keep, but tyrants labored endlessly while your parents were asleep. Your freedom's gone, your courage lost, you're no more than a slave. In this, the land of the free and home of the brave. You buy permits to travel and permits to own a gun, permits to start a business or to build a place for one. On land that you believe you own, you pay a yearly rent, although you have no voice in saying how the money's spent. Your children must attend a school that doesn't educate, and your Christian values can't be taught according to the state. You read about the current news in a regulated press, and you pay a tax you do not owe to please the IRS. Your money is no longer made of silver nor of gold. You trade your wealth for paper so your life can be controlled. You pay for crimes that make our nation turn from God and shame. You've taken Satan's number. You've traded in your name. You've given government control to those who do you harm so they can shut down businesses and seize the family farm. They keep our country deep in debt, put men of God in jail, harass your fellow countrymen while corrupted courts prevail. Your public servants don't uphold the solemn oaths they've sworn, and your daughters visit doctors so their children won't be born. Your leaders send artillery and guns to foreign shores and send your sons to slaughter fighting other people's wars. Can you regain the freedoms for which we fought and died? Or don't you have the courage or the faith to stand with pride? And are there no more values for which you'll fight to save? Or do you wish your children to live in fear and be a slave? O sons of the Republic, arise, take a stand, defend the Constitution, the supreme law of the land, preserve our great Republic and each God-given right, and pray to God to keep the torch of freedom burning bright. As I awoke, he vanished in the mist from whence he came. His words were true. We are not free, but we have ourselves to blame. For even now, as tyrants trample each God-given right, we only watch and tremble, too afraid to stand and fight. If he stood by your bedside to dream while you were asleep and wondered what remains of the freedoms he fought to keep, what would be your answer if he called out from the grave? Is this still the land of the free and home of the brave? A couple of years ago, we had an election, and we elected quite a few supposed Tea Party candidates to Congress and the Senate. And I have to say that our next speaker has truly impressed me as a man of character, a man that truly stands for what he says he believes in. I'd like to introduce today, what impressed me the most about him was that every time he votes, he posts on his blog or on his Facebook page what he voted for and why he voted for it. I'd like to ask you to help me welcome Congressman Justin Amash.
Thank you so much. What an amazing crowd. And I've had the honor of introducing many people during my time in public office, but no one who I admire nearly as much as Dr. Ron Paul. So this is a really great experience for me. I want to thank all of our veterans and service members. Let's give them another round of applause. As you've heard many times, Dr. Paul receives more support from our service members than all the other candidates combined. And I think there's a very good reason for that. Like the service members, we swear an oath to support and defend the Constitution. And Dr. Paul believes in a constitutional foreign policy. That when we go to war, we declare war. We don't just have the president take us to war without any approval. And our veterans and service members understand the importance of our civil liberties in this country. They're as opposed to the NDAA as we are, the National Defense Authorization Act. In this country, nobody should be locked up, detained indefinitely without charge or trial. One of the great things about Dr. Paul, of course, is his consistency. That's something I really admire in Dr. Paul. He doesn't have to apologize for his voting record. When you watch these debates, you see the other candidates, they're always apologizing for some vote they took 10 years ago, 15 years ago. I've seen enough of this in politics. Frankly, that's why I got involved, to start to beat some of these people, to say, no, we're not going to take this anymore. The people want elected officials who are honest, who are trustworthy, who aren't just going to change their tune when they're up for a vote. That's what Dr. Paul is all about.